So we'll take these few moments to allow the body to become heavy, to release a little more deeply into the earth beneath you. Have a sense of the body settling, the weight of your bones easing a little more deeply into that space beneath you, the joints releasing, the muscles softening, relaxing. So rather than feeling that you're on high alert, ready to go, give yourself permission to fully let go. We want to get to that sense of feeling the body soft and released. And the only movement we're aware of is that gentle rise and fall of the ribcage as we bring our focus to the breath. Feeling the ribcage expand and widen on the inhale, then soften and release on the exhale. With every out-breath, feel the wide muscles of the back letting go. Permission for the spine to fully release and ease a little more deeply into the earth beneath you. Knowing that your upper body, the back of your head, is fully supported here. Bring your awareness to the breath at the tip of the nose, following the breath along the nasal passages. Feeling that cool air with every breath in, a warm air with every breath out. Slowing the breath down, deepening the inhalation to expand and widen the lungs fully, lengthening the exhalation to release, to relax, to let go. Imagine directing the breath all the way down to the abdomen. On the out breath, unclenching here. A reminder to unclench in the jaw, in the shoulders, in the palms of the hands, at that space between the hips. Every in-breath, nourishing and energizing. Every out-breath, releasing your body of any toxins, any negative energy. As though we're effectively tuning into the body. Filling the body with prana, with positive energy. Releasing the body of fatigue. Inhaling deeply to the belly, the chest and the collarbones. Exhaling fully from the collarbones, the chest and the belly last. Finding your rhythm with this deep yogic breath. It feels a little like filling a balloon from the bottom up. Then slowly releasing that balloon from the top down. Inhaling deeply to the belly, the chest and the collarbones. Exhaling fully from the collarbones, the chest and the belly last. Now start to nudge your breath back towards a natural, easy rhythm, just so it doesn't feel like you're forcing the breath. And take a moment to scan the body from head to toe. An awareness now of those gentle pressure points at the back of the body, through the back of the head, through the shoulders, through the back of the hips, and either the soles of the feet or the heels. As you feel that connection with the earth beneath you, feeling that connection as a warmth and energy rising through the full length of your body. Taking a further deep breath in through the nose, then releasing that breath through a sigh. A further deep breath in through the nose. Another audible sigh. A third deep breath in through the nose. A noisy release through the mouth. Then once more resuming that natural, easy rhythm with the breath. If you have your knees bent, take a moment to extend the legs along the mat, resting the hands either side of the hips, shoulder blades drawn together. Then as you come to the next inhale, take a long leisurely stretch through the body, lifting the arms overhead, pointing through fingers, pointing through toes. Then on an out breath, hug both knees to the chest. Press the hands to the shins, a gentle rock from one hip to the other. Just allowing the lower back to soften and release. It's a long time to be laid on your back. As you roll back to center, reposition the feet to the floor and again extend the legs along the mat. Lift the arms once more overhead, this time resting the hands an inch from the floor, bringing the thumbs together in an interlock, so palms are facing up towards the ceiling. As you out breath, draw the toes in towards the shins, wide through the chest on an in breath. Then on the next exhale, take the upper body to the right, deepening into that stretch to the left of the waist and the rib cage. Inhale again to return to center, lengthen once more, pointing through fingers and toes. Then resume that interlock, feet in flexion, as you exhale to the left side, wide through the chest, shoulders released back and down. Inhaling once more to return to center and resuming that long, lengthened stretch. On the next exhale, hug both knees again in towards the chest. This time, rather than rocking from one side to the other, hold the knees and create a figure of 8 above the hips. So it almost feels as though we're massaging that space at the back of the buttocks, easing into the lower back, then returning once more to center. Replace both feet on the mat. For now, we'll keep the knees bent, the hands once more positioned either side of the hips, palms turned up to the ceiling, shoulder blades again drawn together. As you exhale, draw the tummy button in, supporting the lower back. As you inhale, lift and lengthen through the right leg. Tip that toe in towards the shin and gently press through the heel. So our intention here is to keep the back of the hips equally weighted. So drawing the back of the hips to the floor, pressing through the sole of the foot. Then on an out breath, bending the right knee, hugging that knee to the chest. As you apply gentle pressure to the shin, deepening the stretch to the side of the hip. Then bring the hands to an interlock behind the thigh. Press through the heel, sole of the foot parallel to the ceiling. Then on an out breath, just gently nudge that thigh a little closer to the chest. So at this stage, the hamstrings might be tight, so don't worry about that bend in the knee, Just avoid, if you can, lifting the bottom from the floor. Keep the back of the hips weighted, press through that right heel, and again, just draw the thigh a little closer to the chest. Then on and out breath, bend that knee again and replace that foot to the floor. Hands either side of the hips as you lift and lengthen through the left leg. So again, we'll tip that toe in towards the shin, pressing through the heel, drawing the weight of the shoulders and the hips back to the floor, exhaling to draw the tummy button in. Then on and out breath, bending the knee, hugging the knee to the chest. Bringing the hands behind that thigh, pressing through the heel. Start with the leg in a straight line, sole of the foot parallel to the ceiling. Then with every out breath, let's see if we can just nudge that thigh a little closer to the chest, gently pressing through the heel to iron out that bend in the knee. Then on and out breath, bend that knee once more and replace both feet on the mat. So at this stage, take hold of your brick. So the brick is the one that is actually shaped like a brick, not the block, which is wider and thinner. So it does look like a house building brick. So we're going to use it on what I always call the lowest profile. So the top edge is the widest part. That's it. Then we're going to lift the bottom up from the floor and we're gently going to slide that brick underneath the bottom. So placement of the brick is important here. We don't want the brick underneath the back. We don't want to feel it in the spine. So make sure that you can feel that brick underneath that flat bone above the bottom. There's plenty of space there to spread. It might feel as though your bottom's kind of drooping over the edge, but that's okay, as long as we're supporting the weight at the hips, rather than, as I say, too far up and into the spine. So for now, we're going to take it nice and steady. We want to gently start to open out the hip flexors, the space in the inner thigh, and we don't want to rush that. So we'll start by extending the right leg forward, resting the heel to the floor. So you might feel mild discomfort, that sense of the hips being lifted, as we gently start to explore this space in the hip flexor, then roll that right toe out to just transfer a little bit of the stretch into the inner thigh with no pressure on the groin, resting the foot on the floor rather than holding the heel an inch from the mat. So let the leg become heavy. Sue Kerner, you look as if your foot is in the air. Just let it rest on the floor. Perfect. And so we're not overdoing it. We'll slide that knee back in, then we'll take the left leg forward. As you allow that left toe to roll out, you might notice that it feels different between one leg and the other. Sometimes we hold more tension on one side. Oftentimes, the side that you hold your handbag on is quite tight, because if you think about it, you're constantly contracted on that side because the shoulder is drooped a little bit lower. So let's make sure those shoulders are square, the hips are square, and we're just allowing that natural opening to the inner thigh. Wonderful. We'll keep that left leg extended forward, and now we'll take the right leg forward. So as you extend both legs, resting the heels on the floor, you become much more aware of that gentle curve, that little lift in the lower back. So this isn't really a back bend yet. It's just a little bit of preparation, a little bit of releasing that tension, that kind of tendency we have to grip hold of the spine in the lower back. Let the shoulders fully release and just enjoy that gentle opening through the fronts of the hip flexors. So again, to make sure that we don't run before we can walk, we'll slide both feet in, coming back to a bent knee position. And then effectively, we're just going to roll our brick up one one movement really. So we're now coming to the sort of skinny part at the edge being underneath the back of the sacrum. So it's a little bit higher. Now, for those of you who were very aware of tension in the lower back or on the hips, when we did that first sequence, you might prefer to just stay at the lower profile. For those of you who are quite happy to open a little deeper, we'll repeat that idea of extending the right leg forward first, rolling the toe out. But rather than allowing the weight to drift onto that right hip, be quite mindful of keeping the hips square, the shoulders square, heavy through the weight at the flats of the shoulder blades. Bend the right knee up and in, then extend the left leg forward. Again, rolling that toe out. And just for a moment, tuning in and noticing the differences between the two legs. Now extend both feet forward. This will feel a little more exposed than before. So there's quite an exaggerated lift now through the lower back. This is starting to get into the territory of a back bend. But because we've supported the space at the back of the hips, we're asking more opening through the hip flexors, through the thighs, and we're asking for less contraction in the spine. So it's important that we remain soft and relaxed in this position so that we're not fighting that sensation of holding the spine tight. Now, as you exhale, engage the core, slide both feet in again, coming back to that bent knee position. So we'll now press down into the soles of the feet and lift the bottom off the mat, off the brick. Slide the brick out from underneath. Bring the hands to an interlock here. Just rest the hands in an interlock on the floor underneath the bottom, pressing the shins forward, lifting the thighs a little higher. So by holding the hands in an interlock, we're encouraging more opening through the chest, a deeper lengthening through the front of the body. Then separate the hands, start at the space between the shoulder blades and gently roll down vertebra by vertebra. Now, because we've had that supported bridge lift, this will feel like quite a distance to come down. It'll feel like it's taking a long time. Let's not be in any rush. Enjoy that gorgeous sensation of the wide muscles of the lower back, softening, bringing the weight of the sacrum to the floor. And just for a moment, tune into that quiet space through the hips, through the lower back. Oftentimes we hold tension here. Then on and out breath, hug both knees again towards the chest. Now replace the feet to the floor. And I'm now going to ask you to take hold of your strap. So I mentioned before that it's helpful when you have your strap to have a loop at one end. So if you've got one of those belt varieties, you can always set the belt so that you create a little loop. If you have one of the Pilates type belts where it's kind of more rubber, you might have to just tie a little bit of a knot. And then we're going to take that loop and pop it around the ball of the right foot. Try to make sure that it doesn't kind of slide down into the instep. We'll keep it on the ball of the foot if possible. So rather than wrapping the strap around your hands, I can see a couple of you already done that. We're going to literally hold that strap between index finger and thumb and gently slide down the length of the strap, allowing the upper arm to rest to the floor. So we're fully supported from shoulder to elbow, then press through that right heel. So we're straightening the right leg, and rather than holding the leg up with the strap, we're just allowing ourselves that little bit of support. Take your left arm out to the side, have the palm at shoulder height, press a little more keenly through the heel, then on an out breath, draw the tummy button in, and we'll slide that right foot out to the right hand side. So don't let gravity roll you over onto your right. Again, we want that sense of the hips being square. So you might choose to open the left knee just to keep the hips in balance, pushing through that right heel, transferring the stretch to the inner thigh. Again, we want to make sure there's no tension being transferred to the hand, to the wrist. So we've literally got index finger and thumb holding that strap. Then on and out breath, draw the tummy button in. That will help to bring the weight of the leg back to center. And remember, you're letting the leg do the work rather than lifting the leg with the strap. Resetting that right knee, that left knee in line with the hip. Gently walk up the strap, hand over hand. So we're drawing that right thigh closer to the chest, pushing through the heel, but all the time keeping the bottom on the floor. So we're weighting again through the hips, shoulders and head relaxed back. Now take the right hand away, keep the left hand on the strap, open the right arm again at chest level, shoulder level. Then slide that left hand down to bring the left upper arm to the floor. Straighten the left leg along the mat, let it rest fully on the mat. There's no need to have it hovering. Then we'll bring that right leg over the midline of the body. Again, gravity will tend to pull the leg over quicker than we're ready. So we kind of want to control that release. So there comes a point where you can feel the right sit bone lifting from the floor. Just gently press that hip back and down. Push more keenly through the heel. Turn the gaze along the length of the right arm. Then you can come fully into releasing that right leg over the midline of the body. You might first notice the stretch around the side of the hip, the buttock. The deeper you allow that foot to travel towards the floor, you might feel that stretch through the side of the waist into the rib cage. Again, the grip on the strap is soft. Then as you exhale, draw the tummy button in and bring that foot back towards center. I'm always a fan of bending the opposite knee, keeping that foot to the floor just to keep the lower back supported. Then we'll bend the right knee and we'll slip that strap off of the foot. Replace that foot to the floor, then slip the strap onto the left leg. So same sequence on the other side. We start with left hand holding the strap, left elbow relaxed to the floor, right arm out to the side, pushing through that left heel, drawing the weight of the hips back to the floor, then on and out breath, widening that left leg out to the left side. So you'll feel that transference of stretch into the inner thigh. If you start to feel it in the groin, if it's too much in the lower back, then by all means just draw the foot a little closer to center. We're working through that hip rotation and that gentle re-lengthening of the inner thigh. As you exhale, once more engage the core, then slide that foot back towards center. Again, we'll walk hand over hand. The intention here is to slide the thigh closer to the chest, pushing through the heel, sole of the foot parallel to the ceiling, weight of the shoulders remain relaxed back on and down. Then we'll take the left hand away, open it out at shoulder height, slide the right hand down again so that the elbow, the shoulder is rested on the floor. Extend the right leg along the mat, then bring that left leg over the midline of the body. Again, not rushing, pulling the left hip back, pressing through the heel, then coming a little deeper. Effectively, this creates a rather lovely twist through the middle back. Turning the gaze along the length of the left arm, mindful of the shoulders relaxed back and down, pushing through that left heel, that deeper stretch through the side of the rib cage, the waist into the side of the hip. Then as you exhale, engage the core and slide that foot back to that center point. Lovely. Bend that right knee up so that we've got the lower back supported. Soften the left knee, Then we'll slip that strap off of the foot. Perfect. Now we'll take the strap to its full length. So rather than having the foot parked into one of the little loops, we're effectively going to take the strap at its center point, pop it on the balls of the feet, then push through the heels, and once more let the elbows relax to the floor. Try to set the feet about hip width apart, the soles of the feet in flexion, pushing through the heels, drawing the back of the sit bones to the floor. So this is a nice, gentle, supportive way of encouraging a deeper stretch to the back of the hamstrings in our supine Dandasana. Every out breath drawing the tummy button in, every in breath pushing through the heels, deepening that stretch to the back of the thighs. Then on the next exhale, again we'll take a soft bend to the knees. We'll slide that strap off, pop it to the side for now, keeping the knees in a 90-degree angle. Bring the hands directly above the shoulders. So we've effectively made an upside down table position. Now I'll remind you that oftentimes in this posture, we get a little weary in the lower back. So the trick is always to keep the knees a little closer to the body if you feel your lower back lifting. The optimum place is to have them directly above the hips. So if you can stand that 90-degree angle, that will be working the abdominals to the greatest effect. On the next out breath, take the arms back and rest the thumbs an inch from the floor. I'm going to suggest widening the arms, drawing the shoulders together, wide through the chest. Every out breath, drawing the tummy button in. Then on the next exhale, keeping that core engagement as you float the hands back to that shoulder line. So inhale, slide the arms back. Exhale, engage the core, bring the arms back to center. So you might notice that with every out breath, when we lift the arms, we're activating that space above the abdominals. It's an area we don't often get to. So we're just switching that space on. We did quite a lot of work in the legs earlier. So I want to balance that upper body and lower body ratio. Bring the hands back again to that shoulder position. Keep that left knee bent as you straighten the right leg and push through the heel. Sole of the foot parallel to the ceiling, so the leg up rather than down. That was my poor direction. Then bend that right knee, press the left heel up. So lots of lovely stretching through the back of the thigh. Then bend both knees, hugging the knees to the chest. Then replacing the feet to the floor. Reposition the hands either side of the hips, palms turned up to the ceiling. Exhale to draw the tummy button in, lift and lengthen the right leg, pointing and flexing through the toe, bringing the foot to flexion, floating that thigh down until both thighs are level. Using the big toe to draw 3 circles in towards the midline of the body, then 3 circles to take that action the opposite direction. Bring the foot back to flexion, inhale to point the toe, exhale to flex, pushing through the heel. Then draw that right knee back towards the chest. Apply gentle pressure to the shin. Direct the right knee out towards the right shoulder. So you might notice a widening here in the lower back at that space across the sacrum. Then as you start to draw the knee back to center, we'll draw little circles with the knee. And gentle mobilization to the hips. We've already activated that inner and outer thigh. So this is just gently warming into those sockets. Then replacing the right foot to the floor. Hands again either side of the hips, lifting and lengthening through the left leg. So again, we'll work through pointing and flexing, mobilizing the ankle joint, pressing through the heel, engaging the core, floating the left heel down until both thighs are level, then using that left big toe to draw 3 wide circles. And we're not in a hurry here, very mindful of tracing a full circle. Bringing that foot back to flexion, then bending that left knee in. Again, a little pressure to the shin to widen the space through the lower back, the middle back. Then direct that left knee out to the left shoulder. Then again, we'll resume those little circles with the knee, just so that we can feel the top of the thigh in that ball and socket joint at the hip. Then replace both feet to the mat. Position again, the heels hip width apart, insides of the feet parallel, palms once more either side of the hips. Exhale to engage the core, inhale to press into the soles of the feet, lifting the bottom from the mat. So back into that bridge posture that we started with. I'm going to ask you to keep your hips up, pressing the shins forward. Then on the next inhalation, lift the arms overhead, resting the backs of the hands on the floor. So we're really opening through the chest, resting into that space across the back of the shoulders, pushing into the soles of the feet, pressing the shins forward, lifting the thighs higher. On an out breath, we're starting to roll down through the spine as we lift the arms up and over. And as the sacrum comes to the floor, bring the hands either side of the hips. So the action is the inhale, we lift up and lift the arms over. On the exhale, we bring the arms back to center, lowering the hips to the floor. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, curving down. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhaling, curving down. One more set. Inhale to lift. Exhale to gently roll to the floor. We can feel a little heat in the buttocks, in the hip flexors. On the out breath, hug both knees towards the chest. And again, we'll do that little figure of 8 above the hips, just to keep that space at the back of the sacrum soft and released. Then replace both feet to the floor, and we'll roll to one side. We've been laid down for quite some time, so take your time to sit back into a cross-legged position. Because we've enjoyed that sensation of opening the thighs out, of mobilizing into the hip joints, you might find that your cross-legged position just feels a little more pleasurable today. It's a little easier to come into, perhaps. So allowing the weight of the knees to release and reminding yourself to lift fully out the sit bones, drawing the shoulder blades together, inhaling to draw the shoulders up towards the ears, exhaling to release and let them go. A little more control this time as we inhale, draw the shoulders up, then roll the shoulders back and down, opening through that space across the collarbones, through the chest. Then extend both arms forward. Press through the fingertips. Bring the palms together in an interlock with right forefinger over left, opening the hands towards the heart. Exhale, draw the tummy button in, curve through the spine. Nod the chin towards the chest and enjoy 2 or 3 breaths here, lengthening the spine. This is the counter to all that gentle back bending we were doing at the beginning of the session. So enjoy that stretch, that opening through the lower back. Then engage the core. Inhale to lift back to center, turning the hands inside out, then lifting the arms up overhead, pressing through the palms, softening the shoulders again down away from the ears. On the next exhale, keep the core engaged, as you float the hands back to chest level. We'll bring the hands to an Anjali Mudra at the heart, lifting and lengthening out of the sit bones. Then as you exhale, it's the sense of drawing the sternum forward, keeping a diagonal line from the back of the head to the tailbone, then bringing the palms to the floor. On an out breath, sinking the elbows towards the floor. So we're working towards a sense of connecting through the forearms, widening through the chest, deepening into this space in the inner thighs, in and around the hips. Avoid the temptation of walking the hands forward, it just lifts the shoulders. Then bring the gaze to the end of the fingers. Exhale, draw the tummy button in. Push into the palms of the hands, then walk the hands back towards the ankles. Lovely. Position the left hand on the right knee, the right hand behind the hip. Realign out of the sit bones. Follow the side of the rib cage as you turn your gaze over that right shoulder. As you exhale, engage the core. As you inhale, lift arms up overhead, turning your gaze back to face the front of the room, pressing through the fingertips, drawing the sit bones back to the floor. The next exhalation, taking opposite hand to opposite knee. Inhale to lift and align. Exhale to twist. Coming into that full space. Then as you exhale, release and bring your gaze back to face forward. Switch over that leg cross, opposite foot in front or behind. Repositioning the palms either side of the hips, realigning by lifting out of the sit bones. Engage the core, slide the right hand away and turn your gaze up to the middle finger of the left hand. On the out breath, bring that right elbow in towards the waist. Keep looking up to the fingers of the left hand, drawing the weight into the left sit bone as you deepen the stretch into the side of the waist and the rib cage. Inhale to lift and come back to center. Extend the left arm away, bring the gaze to the right. Slowly bringing that left elbow towards the floor, pressing through the fingertips, coming over the midline of the body, deepening the stretch through the rib cage into the waist. Then inhaling to lift and come back towards center. Position both hands behind the hips, shoulder blades drawn together. The first action is simply to lift the sternum, open the gaze towards the ceiling. Try not to let the head drop back. The second action is to press the shins forward, lift the bottom from the mat, wide through the chest. Then as you exhale, release and bring the sit bones again to the floor. Super. Now separate the feet, come into a wide leg pose, toes pointing up towards the ceiling, little gap behind the knees. So again, rather than leaning forward immediately, line up the back of the head with the tailbone. You want that sense almost of lifting the rib cage up off of the belly. So we've got lots of lovely space to play with. Top of the head floating up. Then as you exhale, position the hands just in front of you. Then exhale to gently ease the chest a little deeper forward. So we will use the hands to just sneak a little bit more space further forward. Just don't go too far too soon. As I say, it tends to lift the shoulders up. So we just want to find a little bit of extension and enough space to bring the elbows to the floor. And it doesn't have to be to the floor. I'll just reassure you there. Shoulder blades drawn together, lengthening to bring the sternum forward. Every out breath coming a little deeper into this space. Then as you exhale, draw the tummy button in and we'll gently come back to center. Lovely. Now slide the feet together, coming into a Dandasana position. So in a Dandasana position, I'll remind you that the intention is to be nice and long in the spine. It's very comfortable to sit in this posture with the back rounded. But the intention is to lift up out the sit bones, draw the shoulder blades together, and visualize an imaginary wall behind you. You're almost leaning back against this wall. Bring the right knee up and in. Use the hands on the shins to again create that length in the spine. Then step that right foot over the left leg. Left toe pointing up towards the ceiling. We're going to bring the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Palm remains open. Place the right hand behind the hip. So to check that you're going in the right way, you want to feel that the belly is curling in towards the inside of the thigh. Lifting up out of the sit bones. Jane, I think you might be twisting the opposite way. There's always one that can't tell a left from a right. Lift up out of the sit bones. Come a little deeper into the twist. Beautiful. Turning your gaze over that shoulder. Then as you exhale, release and bring your gaze forward. Perfect. Extend that right leg forward, bring the left leg in. So again, we use the hands to gently lift and align. Bring the left leg over the right thigh, bringing the right elbow to the outside of the left knee, using that left hand to just again lift up out of the sit bones. On an out breath, follow the side of the rib cage, turning your gaze over the left shoulder. A little bit of friction as the knee pushes out, the elbow pushes in. Then as you exhale, release and bring the gaze forward again. Perfect. Lots of twisting and stretching today. So it's easier just to shuffle round and come into an all fours position. Knees directly underneath the hips, wrists directly underneath the shoulders, spreading the fingers, making sure that the base of the fingers, the base of the thumb are fully connected to the mat, keeping a little softness in that elbow joint. Turn both toes under. As you exhale, draw the tummy button in, repeating that cat stretch, allowing the weight of the head to rest the chin on the chest. Just staying here for 2 or 3 breaths. Enjoying that release in the middle back, the lower back. Then as you slide to the tops of the feet, inhale, lift the chest forward and just turn that curve the opposite way. So when we do the cat stretch, we turn the toes under, we pull up from the belly. When we do the cow pose, we rest on top of the feet, we open the sternum forward and draw the shoulder blades together. Come back now into a neutral spine position, walking both hands forward, pressing the palms to the mat, then pushing the sit bones towards the back of the room. Take a moment to level up the ears between the upper arms. Then keep the palms stuck to the mat as you extend that stretch, pressing the sit bones towards the heels. On an inhale, lift the fingers, pressing the wrists to the mat. On an exhale, lower the palms, lower the elbows, slide the chest forward and bring the thighs onto the floor. So elbows directly beneath the shoulders, palms set in front, shoulder blades drawn together. Inhale to lift the sternum forward. Exhale to turn the gaze over one shoulder. Inhale to look forward. Exhale to look over the other shoulder. Inhale to look forward. So I'll hold you here in Sphinx pose for a moment. If we still have our straps handy, I'll show you another use for the strap while we're here, because it might be of assistance to some people. So oftentimes when we bring the chest to the floor, I'll do that stretch where I ask you to hold onto the ankle and draw the heel in. For some people, that's just a stretch too far. So you can actually look, easier said than done, you can actually loop the strap around the top of the foot and use the strap to draw the heel in. And you might notice that it just deepens the stretch. So I figure while we're in this position, we might as well practice it. Because I'm mindful that we invest in all this yoga gear and then we don't really know how to use it. So we're using the strap to just gently draw the heel a little closer to the bottom. It's a nicer stretch. You get more opening through the front of the thigh, the hip flexor, and there's much less constriction in the lower back. Beautiful. I look as though I'm lifting up a sack of potatoes. I don't quite know why that is. Nice. Do you like it? Good thigh stretch. Then as you gently release that foot, without too much discomfort, we'll slip it onto the other one. See, I personally find that quite difficult to do. I'm not very graceful. And then we'll draw the opposite foot in. It is a much better stretch. It is a much deeper stretch. I just don't know if I can be doing with the faffing about. Keeps you fit, keeps you moving. Beautiful. Sometimes in yoga, when you use the equipment, it's like you need to phone the yoga helpline to get you out of it because you kind of tied yourself up in a knot. Then when you're ready, you can release. And again, just slip that strap from the foot. We'll pop it to one side. I just threw that in there as a wee extra because it occurred to me while we were in that position. So now position the hands either side of the chest. Draw the elbows in towards the rib cage. Push into the palms and inhale to lift the chest. In this position, it's absolutely fine to have the elbows soft. It's absolutely fine to remain in this lower sphinx position if it gives you too much discomfort in the upper back. Wide through the chest. Exhale, draw the tummy button in. Press back into the child's pose. Pushing the sit bones towards the heels. Resting the ears again between the upper arms. Then lifting back into that all fours position. Because we did that little extra thigh stretch, I'm just going to even out the lower back. So we'll come back into the cat stretch, toes turned under, rolling up through the spine. Then back again to a neutral spine position. Wonderful. So we've done so much work on the legs today that I kind of want to come into the downward facing dog and just try a few variations on what we would normally do in that position. So it's probably easiest if you want to sit comfortably for a moment and I'll demonstrate the sequence that we're going to do. I think when you're doing it when you're upside down, it's quite tricky to see and hear at the same time. So we'll push up into our downward facing dog position. We'll remember the importance of taking the weight back away from the wrists. So we've got a nice diagonal, an inverted V shape, and we won't worry too much if we can't get the heels to the floor. It's much more important to lift the tailbone, to open the thighs towards the back of the room. We're nicely, evenly supported through both feet, both hands. We're simply going to lift the right leg, but keep that weight equal. So the hips are square, the shoulders are square. Then we'll bring that right foot behind the left. We'll touch little toe to little toe, press the heels to the floor and lift the tailbone. So it's a deeper stretch. Then we'll come back to our centered position. We'll come down to child's pose and then we'll do the same on the other side. So I did it nice and slow so you could see the action. Are we good? Beautiful. I wouldn't recommend doing this in dolphin pose. I know some of you are given the alternative of coming down onto your forearms when you do down dog. I think this one's rock hard, so I wouldn't suggest it. So lift yourself up into your downward facing dog position. Make sure that you've got that weight towards the back of the room. So imagine that I've got hold of your thighs and I'm pulling you back. So we're literally away from the shoulders, away from the wrists. Exhale, draw the tummy button in. Inhale, lift the right foot up. We're coming into what we call the three-legged dog. Get that heel right up in the air. You might even want to imagine a diagonal line from the wrist through the hip to the heel. Beautiful. Now bring that foot over the back of the left leg. Line up the little toes. Told you it was a bit tricky. Press the sit bones to the back of the room, lift the tailbone, eek. That's a deep stretch. Then when you're ready, lift that leg up and over. Reset yourself into a nice solid downward facing dog, lifting the tailbone. Then when you're ready, we'll take a rest on this side. So bend the knees, sit back on the heels. Let the forehead rest to the floor. And you might want to bring the wrists either side of the ankles, rotating the wrists, just to give yourself a little bit of release. It's tricky when you've been holding yourself up. So that's one side done. Let's switch over to the opposite side. So again, we're coming into the all fours position to get us set up. Turning the toes under, then pushing up into your downward facing dog. So try to imagine that lovely long line from the shoulder to the bottom. There's a little bit of curvature in the spine that I can see. And if you can iron that out, it will make that leg lift a lot easier. So we're lifting the left leg this time. Pressing through the heel will again straighten the back. Good, that's a good shape. Very good. Then bring that left leg over the back of the right. Little toe to little toe, pushing the sit bones to the back of the room. So there's obviously a tiny little bit of a twist in the hips. So let's see if we can bring the hips and the shoulders square into the same line. That's it. Lift the tailbone. I'm not asking for much, just a lot. Then lift that left leg up again. Replace that left foot to the floor. Lift the tailbone, push the thighs to the back of the room. Perfect. Then on and out breath, bend the knees, sit back on the heels. Just take a moment to chill, chill, chill. Take as long as you need to loosen off the wrists. Then when you're ready, I'll get you to come back up into a hero pose. We won't stay in this hero pose for long, sometimes called Japanese style. So the knees are bent, the heels are underneath the bottom. And I just want to work out any tension that we might have inadvertently put into the shoulders, into the neck. Sometimes when you're upside down, you kind of lift everything and hold it tight. So lift the shoulders up towards the ears. As you exhale, release, let it go. Lift the shoulders up, turn that into drawing little circles. So opening through the collarbones, drawing the shoulder blades together, releasing the shoulders down away from the ears. Perfect. Soften the shoulders, widen through the chest, turn the palms towards the front of the room. Wiggle the fingers, turn the palms to the back of the room. Then we're going to flick the wrists, literally lifting the arms all the way up. I call this jazz hands. Give 'em the old razzle dazzle, razzle dazzle 'em. So you get a song when you come to my classes as well. So now we're going to press into the shins. It's important that we're weighted into the shins, that we're not rocking forward onto the knees. So mindfully set that intention that we're connecting this flat part of the shin into the floor. Lifting, opening through the thighs, not touching this space in the lower back. Everything is about opening here into the thighs. Bring the hands to an interlock behind the lower back. And again, we'll draw the shoulders together, weight the shoulders back and down. Let the weight of the arms draw you back. Tuck the tailbone under, then press the thighs a little further forward. So this is a bit like doing the bridge lift, but we're obviously on our knees. Lift the sternum, draw the hands away from the lower back and open into this upper thoracic spine, gentle back bend. Then as you exhale, engage the core, come back to center, reposition the palms to the mat, knees under hips again, turn the toes under, exhale, draw the tummy button in, a counter for that back bend. So take your time, enjoying this little stretch in the lower back. While we've got the back curved, take the hips to the right, to the center, to the left. Then relax back down into neutral spine. Draw a little figure of 8 with the hips. And just keeping that fluidity, that softening in the lower back. Then come back to center. Then when you're ready, make your way to your final Shavasana position. If you need to pull on some socks, if you need to pull on a blanket, then do so. So I'm mindful that we've done quite a lot of work to release tension that you may have held on to in the lower back. We've opened a lot into the front of the thighs and into the hip flexors. So if you normally take your Shavasana with the knees bent, just for today, try it with the legs lengthened, see how it feels. Obviously, if at any point you start to get that discomfort, that distraction in the lower back, then bend the knees back up if you need to. But let's just test the theory that we've kind of got into those spaces that we often hold and clench and hold that tension in. Again, we want to get to that stage of allowing the weight of the body to ease a little more deeply into the earth. As you take a deep, full, comfortable rest. Jean, we're lying down. You're looking at everyone going, what? Where have they all gone? I've lost the party. So again, we might want to take the hands and the feet equal distance from the midline of the body, turning the palms up towards the ceiling, allowing the shoulders once more to become heavy, that space through the collarbones to expand, softening the belly, reminding yourself to unclench the jaw, to relax the tongue in the well of the mouth, to avoid holding the teeth together. Feel a little whisper of breath between the lips. All the muscles of the face soft and released. You might want to imagine your ears becoming heavy. Your hairline sinking back, melting into the earth. So all the muscles of the face, of the head are fully released. The weight of your head fully supported. Feeling the back of your head ease a little more deeply into the earth beneath you. The back of your neck soft and released. Become aware of that wide space through the flats of the shoulder blades. And as you bring your shoulders to soften, to release, feel a widening through the collarbones and opening through the heart space, across the rib cage. And awareness of your arms becoming heavy. The palms soft, the fingers released. A sense that the full length of your spine is easing a little more deeply into the earth beneath you. That natural S shape of the spine, fully supported. So you can invite the wide muscles of the back to soften and release their grip on the spine. Feeling that space at the back of the rib cage, the back of the waist. Spread and ease a little more deeply. Feel the belly soften. unclench the abdomen. The only movement is that feeling of your breath. The belly gently rising on the inhale, softening and releasing on the exhale. Every out-breath, feeling the weight of your body sink a little more deeply into this space. Spreading into the back of the hips, softening the buttocks, and widening the space in the pelvis. Notice the weight of your thighs. Release the knees. Soften the calves and the shins. Let the ankles release. The feet become heavy. And enjoy this sensation of your whole body, soft, heavy, completely release. Maintain your focus on the breath. Returning your awareness to the tip of the nose. Following the cool air along the nasal passages. Feeling the warm air at your heart center and over your throat center. With each deep inhalation, expanding and widening into the space that surrounds you. With each full exhalation, cleansing, releasing, letting go. Now simply maintain your focus on the breath. And grant yourself a rare few moments of quiet and calm here. Simply rest here and breathe here. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And start to nudge your awareness back to the space you occupy in this room. Notice the way you hold your body. And slowly start to return sensation here. Touching the tip of the thumb to the tip of each finger. Inhaling to open the palms wide. Exhaling to draw the fingers in towards the palms to make soft fists. Inhaling now to lift the arms overhead. If your legs are extended, take a long stretch here. Then on and out breath, hug the knees towards the chest. Gently rocking from one hip to the other, easing any tension in the lower back across the sacrum. Return to center. Then take your time to roll to one side, gently blinking the eyes open. And returning once more to a comfortable seated position. Just choose the position that best supports you. It doesn't have to be cross-legged. Now bring the hands to an Anjali Mudra. Touch to the head for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, and to the heart for kind intentions. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Very nice. Oh, that was blissful. Thank you.
Aww.